I get asked a lot, who are the sneaker content creators that you listen to or watch? And I'm going to get into some of those and give some shout out to some of the content creators that I think are doing great work in the sneaker space. This time on Fire Footwear. Welcome back to Fire Footwear, everybody. As always, this is your host, Matt Freites. I hope that this finds you well. I want to thank you if this is your first time visiting this channel, and if you're somebody who has been supporting for a while, always a thank you, because it means a lot that you spend even a minute of your day with me. Now let's talk about sneaker content, because I get asked a lot, and because I have connections with people who have listened to the podcast in the audio space or people who subscribe to the YouTube channel here, I've been very fortunate to be able to connect with a lot of people. And I do get asked a lot, are there other creators that you listen to or that you suggest that we listen to? And the thing that's interesting about sneaker content is the fact that I think a lot of people feel very tribal when it comes to their content, or at least their opinions. And I think that's due to the fact that I think content in general, even outside of sneakers, I believe kind of makes people feel that they have to feel that way. With shows like First Take and other shows like it, I think people feel as if being opinionated or being tribal about their opinions is what you should do. And in sneakers, you do see that a lot. If some people think it's fire, some people don't think it's fire, people just saying like, you're wrong, you're right, all that stuff. And when I came up with my content, I wanted to sort of be in the middle and bring people together. And I don't know if that's actually happened, but hopefully if you're watching, you actually feel that I do that. And that's a good thing. I think when it comes to sneaker content, though, you have to think about the differences in content in general. And I want to peel back the curtain a little bit, because one thing that I think needs to be said is that making content is hard. And you probably watch a lot of people on YouTube or YouTube channels and you think, wow, they make it look so easy. Or you're somebody who goes to the comment section to try to tell somebody what they can do better or what they're doing wrong or something that they said that was wrong. Here's what I'll tell you is that a lot of content creators are doing it aside from their other life. And the people for whom that is their main job, they have an entire army of people that help them, from producers to filmers to key people, whatever it is. They have so many resources at their disposal because of their sponsorships. Whenever I do this and whenever other creators that I know are doing this, it's just us. And we come up here after putting kids to bed and after having a long day at work, and we have to come up with topics and we have to make sure the cameras are rolling. We have to put out the audio, put out the video. And you know what? Sometimes we don't get it right. And so I have a deep appreciation for people who put out quality content. However, the voices and the opinions that people have within that content, they should all be different. You should be seeking out content that obviously speaks to how you feel or how you have experienced the culture. But I do think it's important that you find content that also differs from how you've experienced it. The first group that I want to shout out, of course, is the Sneak Diss podcast. Now, I was on Sneak Diss at the end of May, and they're a show that I've been following. George and Greg do a great job. They've been around for a long time. And that's something that you will notice is a trend with a lot of these sneaker content creators that I watch or listen to, is they have longevity. And the thing about them is, from an indie podcast perspective, I think they represent very well what it's like to be around people and just talk sneakers in general. I think that if you were to record conversations that happen between friend groups all across the country and all over the world, they're probably going to sound a lot like Sneak Diss podcast. The other thing that I love about them is that they're genuine, they're authentic, and they are who they are. They're not trying to say things to get sponsorships. They're not trying to say things to make sure that they get clicks. They are who they are. And I think that is commendable. And of course, they have supported me. And so I, in turn, want to support them. But they are genuinely one of the shows that I listen to on a regular basis, even if I can't get to them every single week right when they release their content. And then, of course, the solo podcaster, which is me. And in the audio space and also on social media, there is Sockjig. Now, Sockjig is a guy who I have to shout out because he listened to me when my podcast and audio was called Sneaker Love a long time ago. And then I went on a hiatus. I rebranded to Fire Footwear, and he didn't know I had come back. And when I was on Sneak Diss, he kind of realized, oh, wow, this is the same guy. Now, Sockjig is interesting because he is a solo podcaster. So there is solidarity there because both of us are doing something similar. However, he does a much different product than I do because from his background in his life, he gives you so much insight into how the back door works of sneaker culture in terms of Shopify, in terms of how these websites do their business, in terms of rates that you have or success rates that you have in order to win a raffle. I think that's amazing. And I think that it is providing a lot of insight to a lot of people that they could use, because a lot of people complain about not getting shoes and complain about the way sneaker culture is or the way these businesses are. And Sockjig does an amazing job of putting all of that in layman's terms, but also going into it in depth. And it's amazing. And so props to him for being able to do that. So if you don't follow him or you've never heard of him, go find him right now, because he's doing amazing work in the podcasting space and also in social media. And then there's the Sneaker History Podcast. And now that is a show that I have gotten into recently. But one of the things I like about it is because much like Sneak Disc, they obviously represent guys getting together to talk about sneakers. And that for a lot of people feels familiar. But one thing that they do that I absolutely love is they lean into the history of it. And they do a lot of deep dives into the history. They commemorate moments on specific days. I love that. All of them are OGs in the game, or at least close to it. And I think that they do a great job of representing the totality of the history, because I think as sneaker culture gets older and people like me and them too get older, I think it's very important that we still educate the people on what came before them. It doesn't mean that you have to hold it in high reverence. It just means that you should know about it. So when something like the AirTech Challenge 2 comes out, you should know why they don't like the way that it looks, or you should know why people are really excited about it, and don't call it whack. It was not whack back in the day, and you should know why it wasn't. And to me, people like the Sneaker History Podcast do a great job of kind of bringing you back to earth. I love their website, I love their podcast, and so their content that I try to make sure that I keep up with on a weekly basis. And last but not least, when you talk about longevity and when you talk about YouTube specific, I used to watch a lot of YouTube videos on sneakers, and now I listen to and watch one. And that is Chris from Wear Testers. Now, Wear Testers has grown to where they do a lot of things with running shoes and everything. And I don't watch every single video that they do. But one of the things I love about it is just how much he loves sneakers, how knowledgeable he is, and how invested in it because of how it makes him feel. He's not invested because of resale. He's not invested because people think that he is cool. He has a very kid-like love for something like sneakers. And of course, he loves things like action figures and things. And as you can see from my background, we share some similarities there. I think their content is very well produced, very well crafted, and I love the intentionality about it. I love that he's not willing to say something is not great. I love that he's willing to throw a ton of history nuggets in there. And you've probably noticed a theme. I love it when somebody knows a lot and is able to educate me. And that's why I listen to and watch the content that I do. And it doesn't mean that these are the only 4 that I listen to. These are the 4 that I listen to on a very regular basis, but there are so many out there. And I suggest and think that you should look into just typing sneakers into your podcast app, sneakers into your YouTube channel, and try and find sneaker content that you like. And maybe it doesn't always align with how you felt. Maybe it doesn't always align with every opinion that you have about sneakers. But sometimes a really great content creator can make you think a little bit differently. And also remember, before you throw hate in the comment section, before you say something negative about something that you probably don't do, just remember that for a lot of us indie people, it's hard to get this content out there, and we are doing the best that we can to entertain you. Who are some sneaker content creators that you watch? Or who are some sneaker content creators that you like to make sure that you support? Let me know down in the comments. If you want to leave me a voicemail, the number is down in the pinned comment. I'd love to hear a sneaker story, and I would love to be able to feature it on a future episode of the podcast. Hope this finds everybody well, fam. I hope this finds everybody safe. And I will talk to you next time. This is Fire Footwear.